Well, good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this exclusive webinar on some of the tools and best practices we can adopt to be able to work remotely if it is ever required. I don't even remember what we used to talk about before coronavirus, to be honest. A lot of people are used to getting up in the morning and going to the office every day, but now they are going to be working from home for the foreseeable future. This does put a lot of strain on work relationships, just because interaction is the one thing that makes us get along. But you see, virtual doesn't have to mean impersonal. So having the right systems in place to some extent can enable businesses to work remotely and sustain. So to share some of the ideas, we do have with us Brad Golchin, who's the founder of Markezing, a creative HubSpot agency for accounting and bookkeeping firms. We have Molly Bannister, marketing manager at SweetFiles, James McCarthy, who's the co-founder and CEO at Cradle, and myself, customer journey officer at Markezing. This webinar will be recorded and a copy will be sent to everyone who has registered. So without further ado, Brad, would you like to share with us your thoughts on the current matter at hand and what it is that we can do to deal with the matter?
Cool, thank you, Sahil. And so for a while, everybody in the accounting industry been talking about working in the clouds and all that, and lots of accounting firms adopt the working on the cloud, but some of us haven't basically gone all the way to make sure that our staff can work from home. So you might be on a cloud or you might be half on a cloud, but you still go to office every day, which is understandable. As a accounting firm, your clients want to know whether you have a place or not, and you want to come together and get out of the house as well. So Sal, can I share my screen? Can you stop sharing? Lovely. So in the accounting industry, we've been talking about cloud accounting and having all the information in cloud for a while, but not all of us adopt that completely to being cloud. Some of us halfway through, and some of us are fully cloud but still working from office. So the purpose of this whole webinar is just to go through the steps and the tools that you have to take to make sure that your staff can work from home and be still productive and have a safe environment to work from. So it is very important to have a plan in place and make sure that you have a protocol so your staff know exactly what they have to do and you know what they're doing in the meantime as well. So the first step to go through is putting a guideline and protocol together. So at the end of this webinar, and if you're watching the video recording of this, we would put a link underneath the video that you can download this template. So the purpose of a template is just going through and explain to staff what's going to happen, what it means for them, that they have to work from home, what they have to do, and spell out exactly how they're going to basically come and work in the morning, because they're not coming to work, they're working from home, and how they're going to finish the day, how they're going to work on different tax jobs and different jobs that they have, and what they have to do if something gone wrong, how they can communicate with each other, how the client meeting is going to work, how the internal meeting is going to work. All of these needs to be spelled out. So as you can see, we have a general things and what's going to happen. And as I say, this template is going to be available to you. And all of these is just to give you an idea. So you're going to change it. You can use some of them. Feel free to use them. Some of the apps might be different, what you're using, and some of the instruction might be different, depends on top of the practice that you have. Your home setup, your projects and the practice management, how you're going to do that, how you're going to communicate, the different protocols and meetings. So you can go through all these and change it and make it to your own, and you get started. But it's very important to have some structure in place. Otherwise, the staff go home, they never work from home. They're going to think, okay, what am I doing today? And if they don't have that structure and that support in place, they can get depressed and they might not be productive. And that's one thing that you don't want. So let's think about the things that's happening on the day-to-day business. So one of the things that happens in an accounting firm is just the client drops the documents in the office, or we receive some documents on the mail, and we have to work with those. So that's one of the main things that happens, that you have to be in office for somebody to physically touch those papers, to scan it, and use it. Some of you might have a server in office, and that would be complicated to make sure everybody has a safe, reliable connection to that server. So to come around and work around this one kind of issue, we have Molly from SuiteFile that's going to show us how we can digitize all these documents and how we can make sure we have these documents available to all the staff when they need it. And if you use XPM, how you can use this document through XPM. So Molly, over to you.
Thank you so much, Brad. And thanks so much, everyone, for joining us today. As Brad said, I work at SuiteFile. We are a cloud-based document management platform. So our primary goal is to take all of your documents and give you the ability to store them in the cloud so that they're accessible from anywhere and so that you can work on them together in real time. So what I'm going to take you through really quickly is just a little bit of what SuiteFile is, and then just going to go through very quickly our integrations into Xero Practice Manager and ways you can share with your clients, and then I'll be handing it back over to Brad. So SuiteFile, as I said before, is cloud-based document management. It is all built online, so you've got the ability to access all of your files from anywhere. So long as you have a working internet connection, you can use SuiteFile. It integrates in with Xero and Xero Practice Manager so that you can access all of your documents straight from within XPM. It's also integrated in with Office 365 so that you're not learning new document types. You'll be using Word and Excel and what you're used to. It's got the ability for you to collaborate remotely, both with your clients and with your team. So this means that you can have multiple people working on one document. You can assign tasks to your staff members or to your clients to complete and get notifications as those go through. You've also got the ability to send documents out to be digitally signed. So there's no need for you to print anything, no need for physical mail. You can send stuff straight out to the client. They can sign it digitally and it'll come straight back into your file system. As I touched on before, you've got the ability to share and request information as well. So you can send things out direct to your clients without using an email. You can also request that they upload files direct into your SuiteFile so that you've got no need for them to physically be bringing in files or mailing them to you. Everything's also secure and backed up. So SuiteFile is taking a backup of everything every single day. It's all enterprise-grade security. Data is encrypted so that it's very, very safe. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to go through very quickly our product. What you're looking at here is SuiteFile. It is a web-based browser system, as you can see here. We're on the internet. All of your client documents will be stored in client folders, much like what you're used to now. I can click on any of these and I can see all of the documents relating to this client as well as any subfolders. I can open up a document and have a preview of it come up. I've got the option to open up this document then either into the browser version of Word or into the Office 365 or into the desktop version. So I can do whatever I like then. I can have multiple people edit that. I can see these documents in Xero Practice Manager as well. So if I head to that client and I go into, excuse me one moment, into 42 below, I can see the link straight through to SuiteFile at the top of this client, just sitting up here for me. And if I go through to the document, sorry, just here for me. And if I go through to the Documents tab, I can see really clearly all of those SuiteFile documents. Again, these are all the subfolders. I can see those demo files and letters that we were looking at. I can click through here. I can upload things. If I was to create a job for this client, it will automatically create the job folder for me in SuiteFile. Same thing with the quote. If I create a new client in Xero Practice Manager, it's also going to create that client for me straight away in SuiteFile. And I can add a templated folder structure underneath it. The data you have in XPM we're also going to be bringing through constantly so that you can auto-populate templates. So if you've got engagement letters or contracts you want to send out signing electronically, you don't need to manually type that data. We can automatically pop it in place for you. We do similar things with email management as well, around being able to automatically file your communications. And then you'll be able to see those from here as well. So if I was to go into the correspondence folder, I can see here all of the emails that we're sending out. that have been saved in here. I've got access to all of my comms with my client, as well as all my client documents, all of the job details in one place. So it's really handy from that perspective. In terms of communicating with your clients, we have a product called Sleep Files Connect. They can log in using their Xero or their Google credentials. It's literally a single click login, assuming I actually click it. Once that's all logged in, they can see any documentation you've shared with them from your end. So they can go in, they can see any of the documents here. They can edit this document for you. They can review things. If you sent them tasks, they've got a task list of things. So here we've requested some files from them for them to upload. We've also requested that they review a letter. So you've got fairly comprehensive abilities to communicate and work with it remotely. The other thing that we have built into the platform is digital signing. This is, again, a really, really simple process. If I'm to come in here and create a file from a template, so let's say we've got this XPM demonstration letter. Let's use the year-end letter, actually. We can rename this whatever we like. From here, I can double check that all those field values are correct. If there's something here that's missing or not right, I can change it and update it here. If that's all good, I can hit create. That's going to go through and create that template and that letter for me. I get that version here. We can see all of these details have been auto-populated. This table has all been automatically populated with their service requirements. It's custom created a GST paragraph for me based on the fact that they are registered for GST versus not being registered, and all the signing fields are good to go. I then hit request signature. It'll convert that to PDF, and I can set it up to be signed really, really quickly. I can choose the contact I want to send it to, and it'll be any of my XPM contacts will show up there. Can then pop my own signature on here where it's meant to go. Set it up for Jenny to pop her signature here, her name here, and the date here. I'm just going to vertically align those for the sake of me being a little bit happier in life. I like things to look pretty. You can customize this message if you want to, but if you're all happy with that, hit save and send. That's going to send that out to Jenny. She's going to receive an email requesting her signature, and you can track the progress of the document in the document signing tab in Sleep Files, which I'll show you in a second. So if I now head to document signing, I can see here that this testing document is in progress. Jenny will receive an email, hopefully sometime in the near future. Let's hope that comes through. I'll just wait for a second. There we go. Saying a signature's been requested, all custom branded for you. If I click through to review the document, this will open up the signing portal. No need for them to download anything. Again, all custom branded. She can click to sign and enter her name and date. This signature here can be customized, so you can have an auto-generated one. Or if you prefer, you can customize it and put whatever you like there. Once it's all good, hit sign document. That'll process through. Jenny will be emailed a copy with a secure link to download hers if she wants to keep a copy on file, and your copy will be available in Sleep Files pretty much instantaneously. So if I now go to that 42 below client folder and take a look in quotes, I can see here that I've got that testing document webinar _ signed. All here, all the signatures are good to go. I believe that Brad will be touching on this at the end, but I also just very quickly wanted to flag that we do have an offer at the moment. We know a lot of people are trying really, really hard to get across to the cloud quickly, as it looks like more and more businesses are going to be working from home. So if you want to get in touch with me, my email is molly@sleepfiles.com. We can set up a trial for you and migrate your data across. Your Sleep Files subscription will be free until the 31st of May. And we will be able to migrate your data through from wherever it is currently. Not free, unfortunately, but at a heavily discounted rate to try and get you cloud-based as soon as possible. So I will hand straight back over to Brad, who I believe is going to take us through some additional methods for working from home.
Lovely. Thank you so much. And that's great to see that you guys are supporting the industry and giving that offer. I'm sure so many accounting firms are looking to send their staff home for the sake of the safety, and that's a good thing. So now that we've gone over and kind of gone from the papers to digital, on that note, I have to say one more thing. So some of you are going to think, okay, who's going to be in office? Usually we suggest if you want to send all the staff to work from home, either one of the partners or owner of the business, or one of the practice admin, depends on the structure of your business, or you can have a rotation. One person should be in the office to keep the office open, unless if something happened and they say, okay, everybody needs to go home, which I really don't think so, and I hope not. But that one person, because still is not having any kind of connection with other staff, that should be quite safe. And that one person would be the person who's going to check the mails and scan the files and do the things in office. And as I say, depends on your practice and how you operate. As part of that procedure, you can put that one person in the office. You can make it clear what day each person is there, and you can communicate that, and that template that we're sharing with you, and ask the staff if they need anything from office that they forget to take, or there's a note on the desk that they need access to, they can contact that person and they can get it, or if they need any support in the meantime, they can ask that person in office to provide it to them. So that person is important. So the second thing that happens usually when it gets really stressful for the businesses to send all the staff to home is the telephone system. I see lots of the accounting firms having those multi-button kind of telephone system on their desk. As accountant, we used to just pick up those and contact our clients, and the clients comes through and contact us through those DDI telephone numbers and contact us through those handsets. Which is very old-fashioned, but all of us have it, we like it, we love it. But one of the things you can do, whether you transfer totally to the digital platform, or for the meantime, while your staff are working, you can transfer it. And James from Cradle is here. We have been using Cradle for both Markezing and Wise Advice for a while now. For Wise Advice, it's been more than a year. I think year and a half now, and we're never going to go back to our traditional phone. Just accounting kind of language. We have one single ledger, and our telephone is on that one single ledger, and we love to have the information that we have available now that we didn't have before. But more for this situation, you can get your staff to work from home, and I'll let James explain. Thank you, James.
Cool, thanks, Brad. So look, in a sec here, I will share the start of my presentation. So a little bit about us. So we are Cradle. We're a cloud-based phone system, and from one perspective, so we enable anyone on your team to access the phone system, to make calls, to receive phone calls, and all of that is done irrespective of where they are. So provided they have an internet connection, they can make and receive phone calls. You can keep in clients, and you have no risk the phone's going to be sitting in the office where you have nobody ringing away on its own. Being cloud-based offers a whole lot of other benefits, and we can touch a little bit on those. But what I'd really like to do today is just to give you some more tips around how to make your team successful if they do need to work at home, assuming that you have something like Cradle installed. Touch on some of the things that we see as being critical and really important to enabling your team to work at home. And then just give you a quick demo of the sort of concerns that remote teams might have when they're answering phone calls as a team and still need to be able to coordinate how they're working, but they're not in the same office. So what I'm going to do here is just run through some things. So critical to using VoIP or even a video conference such as this one earlier on. Hopefully it's been cut out by the time anyone watching the recording sees this, but Brad dropped off the call. And these things can happen when you have home internet and you're trying to use it for your work. So generally speaking, everyone in New Zealand and Australia is going to have good enough internet to work from home, but what we'd really like to recommend everyone do if they have to work from home is just take an Ethernet cable home with you. Don't rely on your home Wi-Fi, because it will not be up to the job for a phone call. And it's probably going to result in things like video calls dropping out, just frustration doing other things, because it's not designed to be of the same quality as what you hopefully have at work. And hopefully at work you're plugged into Ethernet anyway. So we just recommend take an Ethernet cable home if you do need to work at home, so that you can plug yourself in, and that way your video calls, your phone calls, everything is going to work really well. And here at home, just for an example, I use BigPipe, costs $79 a month, and it's not super fast, but it's really reliable, and with an Ethernet cable plugged in, I never have an issue with phone calls. Laptop, obviously you need to take a laptop home, and we always recommend, if you're working from home, take a second monitor home. Make sure that you've got access to a monitor, a keyboard, and a mouse, so that you're not trying to work just on a tiny wee laptop, but you've got lots of real estate, because having as good a working environment as you can, both electronically and physically, makes you more productive. I think this goes without saying, and it's really significant in how well other people can hear you and how well your online meetings will go. This here is a Jabra Evolve 75 headset, the top of the line one, but even the Jabra Evolve 20 or 30 is a fantastic headset for anyone who's working at home. They're really portable. They have a noise cancelling microphone, so anything else that might be going on doesn't get transmitted down the line to anybody who's on the other end of the call. And you will also be able to hear clearly the other people on the other end of the line. Now, this makes you sound professional. It makes meetings easier. You're not straining to hear everyone, especially if you're doing a video conference such as this with maybe 5 or 6 people on. There's not someone making noise in the background at home, or someone's boiling the jug, and everyone on the meeting can hear that. So we would really recommend that if your team are in a position to have to go home to work, get them a headset that works really well. Doesn't have to be expensive, can be as little as 50 or 60 bucks, but it'll make working from home much, much better when it comes to using the phone and using online meetings. Obviously, a chair is important. So I want to run through just a few of the things that Cradle can do for you. So we'll just look at transferring calls, seeing what your team are up to. So seeing the presence of other people, whether they're on the phone or maybe they're away from their desk, maybe they've headed out. And then from a management perspective, how do you know that your team is still answering the calls? So when you're in the office, you can hear the phone ring, you can hear it ring 3 times and someone picks it up. But if you're not all in the same room, how do you still keep an eye on that when people are remote? So I'll run you through how to do that. And then Sahil's going to talk more about HubSpot later, but I'll just quickly show you what it looks like to check whether other people have spoken to a customer, when you can't just wander over and say, hey, have you spoken to person A today? Okie dokie, so I am just going to switch across to here. So this is what our app looks like. It's designed to look a little bit like your iPhone or your Android app. And it has a list of all of the calls that you've received, and it has access to your entire contact database, both out of Xero and out of HubSpot. And in this case, I've just done a search on Brad's name to bring up a recent call with him and then his 2 contacts that we have. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what it looks like when a call comes in, then I'm going to show you how that call can be transferred. So stand by. So when a call comes in, this is what the call looks like, and I'm going to go ahead and answer this. Now, once I'm on the call, I can click on this person's name to see who they are. I might not have interacted with them before, but I can quickly get into HubSpot, or if we only have them in Xero, to understand who they are and when we last spoke to them, who they normally speak to, who their contact owner is, or who their accountant might be, for example, or their partner. And then I can either answer their question. Hopefully I can answer their question while I'm on the phone, but if need be, I can transfer them through to someone else on my team. So by clicking on transfer here, I get to see a list of my entire team, and then I can see their presence. So I can see that Joel, he's offline at the moment. He's manually set that, so he's out to lunch. Luke's available, Max is offline, and with the entire team, I can search through here and I'm gonna go back. I can get down to exactly who I want to by typing either their role or their name, and then I can transfer the phone call across to them. Now, once I do that, I can do a warm introduction, so I can put the caller on hold and then quickly speak to my teammate to make sure that they're happy to take the call, and then connect the call through so that I give the customer a good experience and I let my teammate know who it is and why they might be calling. And we'd sort of lean towards that being best practice, especially when working remotely, just to make sure that you're not throwing grenades over the fence at people who aren't expecting them. Okay, I'm gonna hang that call up now. Okay, so that's a really quick demonstration of what it might be like as a remote worker to receive a phone call and then transfer it through to someone else on your team. I'm quickly going to show you as a manager what it might look like to understand what your team are up to. So we have here an online administrative portal. And well, I'm just going to focus in on this particular call that I answered now. So at the top here, a summary of all of the calling over the last 7 days, and I can narrow myself down to a particular day. So if I want to click on Monday here, I can see what happened across that day. But what I'm going to do now is look at this phone call that we just made. So why is that not showing me what I want? So it's great when the live demo doesn't work. I think I don't have quite enough screen here. I should have done it on my bigger screen. Okay, so with this call that I just made, you can see that this is the particular number. The contact owner within HubSpot was how we decided to route this call to the right person. They can see, then my manager can see, for example, that I came in and answered that call and spoke for 1.5 minutes. I can launch HubSpot directly and see that single source of truth, and then very quickly get an overview of how well my team are performing on the phone. I'm also going to just show you quickly what it looks like to view total inbound call rates and monitor things such as missed call percentages. So I can see that in the last week we've received 52 calls, but we've missed 15 of those calls. Most of them are people that I may not have wanted to speak to. But you can see, you can really quickly get an overview of whether your team are doing their job remotely and whether there's a particular time of day where you might need to get people to modify their behavior. Look, I could go on all day about how you can use this to manage your team remotely, but I'm probably going to hand back to Brad just after I talk about a few things.
I have one question before you stop. If you go to that, can I just ask one question you can show us? So one of the concerns is when people work from home is as they receive a call through the menu, because this would work like obviously how you have in the office, you can have a menu. So for Brad, push 1, and for James, push 2. But if Brad is not picking up the phone, because obviously the client from outside wouldn't know, you can basically drop that to the second person and the third person to make sure that that call gets answered. So that's one good thing if you can show quickly that, and also the voice messages will come to them as an email. So they receive an email with the voice message. If nobody answers, they can see the voice message. So you can kind of on the background create lots of different rules and how you want the call to go through, and that's a great way of running it. So you can say after James, somebody else pick up the phone and all that. Sorry, James.
Yeah, sure. So look, I'm just going to show you a quick example of what Brad's talking about here. So we put all of our incoming calls through this, what we call a role called sales. And previously it was just set up to come to me, but now by adding 2 more people into these boxes here, I've set it up so that if I don't answer, it cascades over to Joel. And then if he doesn't answer, it goes over to Luke. So that's going to increase the likelihood that we get someone on the phone. And then it falls to voicemail and we get that emailed through to our HubSpot inbox as it happens. Now that comes in as an email with an attached MP3 and a link to listen online. And if you speak nicely to us, we'll turn on voicemail transcription. So you can have a transcribed version of the voicemail coming into your email inbox. Now with HubSpot contacts, you can in fact automate a follow-up. Now I didn't prepare an example of this, but I'll speak to it. So within HubSpot, you can automate follow-up after any phone call that happens in Cradle for a contact that exists within HubSpot. So in the case where someone rings and leaves a voicemail, what you can do is you can email them or send them a text and say, hey, thank you, we received your voicemail. We'll get back to you as soon as we can, or one of our team will get back to you as soon as we can. Or alternatively, you could invite them to use one of the other features of HubSpot, like book a meeting, or you might have another call to action that you would like them to follow up with, like maybe you prefer them to email you or you'd prefer them to do something else. So you can prompt people to do something else after they've left your voicemail without a human having to do anything. And then of course, you've got that single source of truth here in HubSpot, so you can see whether or not they've done anything after they've left that voicemail, or if you do indeed need to ring them back.
Cool.
So that's
Thank you,
just an example of how you might use that. Headset wise, this is the headset that I'm wearing at the moment, and this is absolutely what we'd recommend for teams that are working remotely. They got really good noise cancellation and a really good microphone. They're not super expensive, and they're quite portable. So yeah, Okay. Look, we're really happy to help anyone who does, in a very short period of time, need to get set up to work remotely. Porting numbers and doing all sorts of other things to get you fully set up with a system such as ours can take quite a while, but we've got some shortcuts that we can use to quickly get you set up to make and receive phone calls through a system such as ours. So if you do need that help, please get in touch. You can call us. The phone numbers are on the screen there. Brad will chuck them in at the end, or you can email me, james@cradle.io.
Cool. Thank you, James.
Thank you.
One thing technically, because I know accountants often say, oh, we can't change, telephone systems and all that. First of all, using it is very easy. Second of all, you don't have to change the whole system, so you can just keep your number. Do not port it if you don't want to. I advise you to port it if you're brave enough. But if it's a stressful time and you can port it, just basically forward that number. So if your office number is there, forward that number to the dedicated number in Cradle, and James would be able to help you do that. And use this for this next 2, 3 months, 1 month, hopefully 1 week period that you have to do this. And then after that, based on the feedback from your staff, you can decide whether you move the whole thing completely. And I'm sure you'll be pleased after that period, and you would want to transfer everybody and all the phones to Cradle. So thank you, James, for your time, and we'll share more details, as I say, with the document and template. We send all these details and contact details and offers that is available out there. But get on to transferring the communication as soon as you can. So now we have our files, all of them are digitized, and we have our telephones. The next thing is just the problem with the communication. So how are we going to have the communication in one central place? As you saw, James showed lots of HubSpot screens and contacts. So those screens basically will give you the view of what's happening with the client. So because you're not in the same office, you're going to think, okay, did this guy call the client or not, or did you receive an email from us, or what did you do? And HubSpot CRM is absolutely free. And as Sahal mentioned, and we're going to show you later as well, we're offering the implementation of CRM, a free CRM of HubSpot for free for this period, as much as we can. We don't know how many we can do, but we go through them as fast and as much as we can, and we're more than happy to help you. Usually we charge $1,500 to do the implementation. We'll do it for free for this period to help you guys out, to make sure that you have that central place. As you can see with the likes of Cradle, you have a lot more visibility if you have HubSpot in place. So I'll pass it on to Sahal so he can show you how would it look like in HubSpot to have that one single view of all your contacts. Sahal?
Thank you, Brad. So look, obviously it's been discussed a few times, but one of the things or big challenges when we talk about working from home can be actually having conversations with clients and team members. So if we don't have a central spot where we are recording what sort of conversations a team member may be having with a client, that can become quite a challenging problem to handle. So HubSpot CRM, as Brad's mentioned, it's a free CRM, which is a client relationship management system that allows you to simply track all of your contact conversations in one single spot. Think of it as your single ledger. So single ledger in the accounting world allows you to manage all of the financial data in a single spot where anyone who makes changes to the data can actually access it. Same way in a HubSpot, communication or conversations manner. This is, as you've got on my screen, this is a contact record, which is a single ledger of all the communications and touch points with the clients that the staff members may be doing. So in this case, the contact name is myself, who works at Markezing. On the left-hand side, we've got a few properties that talk about just the basic information that we have on this client. So the first name, email, phone numbers, and then we can also build our own properties and add them to this view. There's literally hundreds of properties that we can add for this client. So if I just quickly go to the property editor, there's 94 properties that we can have for this particular contact. Now, there's a lot of other things that HubSpot offers as well, is that if this contact goes on your website, all that information is recorded through the cookies in your browser. But at this stage, we are just going to keep it simple to the contact information that we have here. So contact information on the left and on the right-hand side, we can see a particular client or a contact is associated with one company. This is Markezing.com, and then there are multiple deals that have been associated with this contact. What this really means is that, for example, a client comes to you and wants a tax return done, wants a company return done, and financial reporting for one of the trusts. So those are essentially 3 different deals that are making dollars for your practice. So then we can create individual deals for that particular contact, but with different companies and a dollar value associated with it. So then it allows towards the end of it to report on how much this client is worth from the different deals we've created. And in the middle of the screen, what we have is pretty much all the touch points that any of the staff members may have had with this client. So at the bottom, we can see that this is a contact that was generated from an offline source, or if it was a lead from your website, all of that information will be recorded. And as we keep scrolling back up, we'll see all the email conversations, the phone conversations, any text messages that may have been sent to this client, all this information here. So we've got a task that was created here for this client. Can you please add this education video to a project that is now overdue? On completion of the task, we can simply mark it as complete. A task in HubSpot CRM is, we usually recommend the way it can be used in an accounting practice, is that if you are sending internal emails to other staff members to work on something for a client, instead that can be replaced with internal tasks within HubSpot. There are multiple benefits of that. A tasks dashboard is available for you to be able to see how many tasks a single staff member may be dealing with. They might be under capacity, they might need some help, but at the same time, it also allows you to track all the touch points with the clients, as in how many times they might have contacted you, or what sort of things need to be done for them. If a client calls you, for example, on your Cradle phone, and you pick up the phone, all that log of the conversation can automatically be recorded to the contact record, or you can simply create a note of the conversation you've had with a client. Along with that, you can also create a follow-up task off the back of the note to then see what you want to do with this information next. We've got a whole lot of activity here for this particular client. We had a meeting, so I logged it as a meeting. We've got the agenda attached, logged a call, we've logged some tasks, and then you can filter all this activity by what it is that you want to see in this particular view. Just one more point on Cradle. So Cradle has an extension as well, which is a Chrome extension. When that is connected, then and this is my contact view, where I can simply just see what the phone number of a particular contact is. Click on this green button and say open Cradle, and it will dial the number straight away. So then after that, it pretty much works in the same way how James mentioned, but the whole process is very streamlined and works its magic. There's also an email extension with Outlook and also Gmail. So if this is my Gmail account, if I just compose a new email, and if I was to email Brad in this case, on the right-hand side, all this information from HubSpot about Brad will be listed. So then I can quickly view what sort of information that I want to for Brad, or even create a task for one of the existing staff members or one of the other staff members to complete for Brad. Aside from this, there's a lot of things HubSpot can do, but we are just going to stick with the contact property and the deals in company, just this view. So this is all part of the free CRM. And as Brad has mentioned, we are doing some free implementations over the next few days, depending on capacity. And Brad will talk more about that. Over to you, Brad. You need to unmute yourself.
Sorry, can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Cool. So one of the other things that I can basically show you, and one of the hassles is working from home, is meeting the client. So obviously at the moment you have the clients. For those of you in New Zealand, obviously it's the end of the year, you're going to get the clients, dropping documents, I want to meet you. And it's going to be even more crucial now with some of the businesses getting affected by what's happening out there, that you need to meet them. That's where the power of human comes true, and the bots can't take it over. Some of our clients are very stressed, and they don't know what's going to happen to the businesses. The businesses got affected, and we are the only one can help them. So that's our job, to basically talk to them. And sometimes talking over the phone and emailing is not going to help them as much. So they need to see a friendly face to give them assurance, to give them that encouragement, so they can go over this period and survive this period. If you have a client, a business of tourism or events or anything to do with export and import from countries that they have limitations, they're going to be affected quite a lot. And you need to meet them. So in one way, we have work from home. The other side is we need lots of client meetings. How are we going to manage that? So the tool that we're using is Zoom. Lots of other accounting firms, they want to use Skype and other things. So the reason I'm not suggesting those is because Zoom is simply you send a link which belongs to each of your staff. So that staff sends a personal link to a person who wants to meet, and they click on that link and they can have the meeting. They don't have to have the app. They don't have to install Skype. They don't have to have a login. They don't have to have an account. They can simply basically click on that link and start chatting. So by using Zoom, they would be able to get it started. Can you guys see my screen yet? Or?
No, we can't.
Okay, let's then do it. Where's my? Sorry, bear with me for 1 second. So Zoom website is, yeah. So you should be able to see Zoom. Zoom is free. It's got a paid version as well, but you can have the free version for one-on-one meeting. It's absolutely fine. If you have to have the one-to-many meetings, you can do more than 30 times. I think it's 45 minutes. You can double check it. And it's a great system to work with the client. So as I say, you simply send one link, and that link will take them through, and they click on that link and they can talk. So the only other thing that you have to be careful is make sure that all your staff have a camera, or if they have a laptop. So I'm working off my laptop now. The laptop would have a proper camera. If they don't have a camera, just get them at, their webcams are very cheap. And also the headset, as James mentioned. That headset can be used for this and can be used for the telephone calls. A good internet. And obviously, if you have the cable and connect through cable, the quality would be better and more reliable. So make sure they've got all of these in place. The other thing you see on a template is just have some protocols how people are going to work from home. And we have some guidelines that is included in that template. It's very important to make sure that the staff are not going to be on the pajamas and the, lying down on bed trying to talk to the client. So spell out someone from your point might be common sense, but if you don't have those protocols in place, it might create problems. So make sure that the staff going to be from certain time to certain time. They're going to be behind the desk. For the health and safety, you don't want them to get all sorts of aches and pains because they're not sitting properly, and also to make sure that they're going to be professional when they're talking to the client. So the other thing that is important is how you're going to set up the meeting, because going back and forth and make sure that you set up the meeting is a hassle, and that's the part that is usually the most painful part of the whole process. So as we said, that HubSpot is CRM is free. You can't have multiple meeting links on a free version, but you can have one meeting link for each of your staff. And that meeting link basically gives them ability to basically send one link to the client, and basically clients can make an appointment rather than going back and forth. The other good thing about it is when you have staff who are working from home, you have ability to go to the calendar and see what are the availability. So if you have a meeting, want to set up a meeting with somebody else, you know when they're available. So that is good as well. As you can see, we have multiple offices and we have online meetings. So this is the online meeting link. This is the back end. So that's how I set it up. And I say what times I'll have available. You know, there's certain days I don't want to meet meet people. I have other things. So each of them you can have different meetings. And this have direct integration with for G Suite and Outlook 365. So you would be able to basically, if you're busy on your calendar and you marked it as busy, it's going to show busy there, and it syncs these two together. And on the top of that, it overlays these times that you say you're going to be available. So it's not going to show any other time. So this will sit on the top of your Outlook calendar availability and will show availability there. You can even set up the links for multiple people. So it shows your, it matches your calendar and other staff calendar if you have to have a meeting together. So it can be a 3 meeting, 2 from the practice and the other people. And when you basically they receive an email, they're going to receive my Zoom link. So this is all they receive, and it adds it to the calendar automatically, so they're not going to miss it. And if they're going to receive a reminder, you can set up the reminder to go a day before, an hour before. They receive a reminder, they click on that link, and they can basically click on that link on the phone, which would have the microphone and camera. If they don't have a laptop, depends on the business. If they have a computer with the sound and camera, they can just connect and you can see them. So you can have this meeting link, and that will sort out that side of the business to set up those meetings. That's very important, and try to offer these meetings that identify the clients that they need and you think they're going to be in trouble, and meet them as soon as possible before you hear the news that they've gone down and there's no way to save them. So try to meet them as soon as possible. If you can help them with the cash flow and the packages available out there from government, you can help them out. The other thing is the meetings between the staff. So when you have the staff meeting, how are you going to handle that and how you can, sorry, I promise you it's not Corona. I'll pass it on to Sahil, and I can explain how we can use Slack to manage a meeting.
Right, thank you, Brett. I'll just share my screen again. So look, Slack is something we use internally, and I'm pretty sure everyone here who's on the webinar uses Slack for internal communication and conversation. It is a communication and collaboration hub, which basically allows for an easy way to communicate with the team. So in Slack, there's so many things, different things you can do. So in a lot of the cases, you can have multiple workspaces. So for example, if you're a contractor and work with 2 to 3 different companies, you can have a separate workspace for each of them with a separate email. So in a single app, you can have different emails and companies associated here. Within each workspace, conversations happen in channels that are organized by topic or project or a team, or really just whatever makes sense for your company. So these are all the different channels that can be created, and you can obviously send a direct message to one of the team members as well. Slack is also really cool when it comes to really having fun. You know, so you can have a Giphy integrations, send videos in some of the channels, and actually start communicating in a more human way. There are emojis there, so if you like someone's comment or if you read someone's comment, you can actually acknowledge the fact that you have done so. You can share videos as well. It does allow you to call the other person as well. So there's a call button here, which also allows for quick video calls in which you can collaborate quite effectively if you are working remotely. If someone is sharing a screen when you're on a video call with Slack, the other person can actually use a virtual pen and draw on the screen or point out at certain things as well. So it's a really good collaboration tool, and actually allows you to communicate very effectively with the internal team. There's also the mobile app, which is pretty similar. So there's all the similar features we have in the mobile app. You can pause notifications. So right now, because we're in this webinar, I've paused all the notifications in Slack, so nothing's popping up. And then it integrates with the services you already use. So we've got a few other options here, like a Google Drive, Dropbox, everything in public channels, including the messages, files, and integrations. It just becomes shareable and searchable in Slack as well. So once you've got all the integrations there, there might be a case if you want to go back to one of the conversation from last month, you can just search for the keywords, and Slack brings up all the search options from those keywords. Overall, it's a really great tool. I cannot recommend it enough, and it's very easy to tag individual people in channels, very easy to use. And it's got all sorts of integrations that will help streamline the flow of communication within the business. Anything else you'd like to add, Brad?
If I can have the screen back, I'll just have one more tool, and then I'll pass it on to close the webinar. And if anybody has got another thing to add, we can add as well. There's one thing that I missed because of my cough. So now that you have all this communication and all that, and bear in mind, every solution that we come up with has got either integration with Zero or with XPM. So everything that we saw, HubSpot has got Zero and XPM integration. Cradle has got a Zero integration with HubSpot as well, and also Zoom and things. You don't really need an integration, but they connect through HubSpot to the, all of them are connected together, so you don't have all the different separate tools. One of the tools that for some of you accountants out there might be very useful, it's called Time Doctor, and that links to XPM as well. The reason I brought this up because in our practice, we trust our staff and we know exactly what they're doing and all that, and we've been doing that for a while. But if you haven't done that and you have 20 staff that you're going to send home, you want to see what time they start the work and what time they finish the work, and what they're doing during the day. So Time Doctor, it's got integration with XPM. So if they're working on the jobs on XPM, it's going to record the time. But one of the things that it does, monitors the productivity and the tools that the staff are using on the computer during their working hours. So you want to see whether they are all the time on Facebook or watching YouTube movie, or what are they doing, or are they working on a job actually. So it monitors the activity online, takes a random screenshot of their screen to see what they're looking at. Also, as I say, if they're working on the jobs on XPM, it basically collects those hours and puts them against those jobs. It also clocks them in and clocks them out, so you can see when they started the work and when they finished the work, and you can link that to the payroll system if you want. So it's got the integration with your the job management and your payroll. It's got lots of other integration that you can look at. It's got integration with Slack and all that as well. And also it's got GPS tracking, so you can see whether they're home or they're in another country. So it is, you can basically brand it all and white label it and use it. It's very affordable, and I think it's a great tool if you want to basically monitor your staff and have a better system for them to start the work. So when they turn on the computer for work, they can start the work and you see when they finish and what are they doing during their working hours. So these are all the tools, and I'll leave it to Sahil to tell you again, review the offers and what's going to happen after this. Basically, what's on offer on the bottom of this video, it would be if you're on a webinar, you're going to receive an email. But if you're watching this on a social channel, you're going to have the link. Yeah, I explained the link, and you can just explain what's in the link. So you would have a link which you can open up, and basically would have the templates with the other offers that we have. If you have any question, make sure you contact us, support@markezing.com. Support@markezing.com is our email address, and pass on to you, Sahil, to explain the rest.
Yeah, look, guys, I really just wanted to, just being conscious of time as well, just want to wrap up and talk about the offers we've got. We'd really like to help. I mean, obviously, this is a slightly difficult time for a lot of the businesses. A lot of people are trying to make the most of what they've got at the moment, and a lot of the businesses are running at losses as well. But everywhere or anywhere we can help, we'd like to. As Brad's mentioned, HubSpot CRM is free. Our offer is that we are offering free HubSpot CRM implementations, for which we usually charge $1,500 until we can, so until we've got some capacity. And then Suite Files, we've got they're offering free subscription until 31st of May, along with discounted implementation and as well. Along with that, Cradle has got some quick tips and ways to bring your phone systems onto their platform as well. So, because if you've got any questions, do reach out to us. We will be sharing this webinar and the recording along with a sort of a template that Brad shared right at the beginning of the webinar. So you've got that for your business as a policy guideline. If there is nothing else from anyone, I'd like to thank you everyone for their time. Any other comments from anyone else? No.
So that's all.
Okay, well, thank you very much for your time, guys, and we will see you at the next webinar.
Thank you.
Yeah, see you next time.
Thanks, guys. See you later. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.